We're going to interrupt that now to take you to Baltimore City Police headquarters, where we're standing by and about to hear from the police commissioner and the assistant police commissioner. So let's listen in.
Seen the public expression of private grief of the lost in the Gray family. The demonstrations have been largely peaceful and respectful, but there are some who characterize the protesters as wanting a confrontation or wanting a fight. We know this simply isn't true. The vast majority of the protesters there are sharing their position, their thoughts, their feelings to us as a whole. We will remain steadfast in ensuring they have the right to express their constitutional rights through the First Amendment. We are a city that faces many struggles, and we have many challenges. We're also a city that has had peaceful demonstrations for more than 40 years. To any and all that would seek to bring chaos to our city, the people of Baltimore will not tolerate you hurting our community, where we live, where we worship, and where our kids go to school. The real chance for reform should not be lost to those who would find joy in destruction or harm to this great city. We are also a police department that has many challenges. Over the years, we have had a number of incidents that have tarnished this badge and the reputation of this department. I've been brought here with a team to be focused on reform to this organization. We should never lose sight of the fact that we also have thousands of women and men who come to work every day and protect the people of Baltimore in a very proud and professional way. Over the course of the last 12 days, we have undertaken a massive investigation. We have ramped up a task force of more than 30-plus investigators from various disciplines in this agency. Dozens of interviews have been conducted. Many more remain. A step-by-step, meticulous investigation is taking place. It is much like you go to the ophthalmologist and he asks you, can you see this picture? We're refining our investigation. We're getting closer, and the picture is getting sharper and sharper as we move forward. We have canvassed the entire geographic region on foot multiple times, and we would do it more often. The video footage of every CCTV camera that may have caught even a single moment of the incident is under review. This city has pretty close to 600 cameras within the city as a whole. Much of that footage will be released today. We are narrowing down the timeline of events that led to Mr. Gray's tragic death and the events surrounding that. The timeline will continue to change. We've found new information, and we will continue to find more information as we go. We know he was not buckled in the transportation wagon, as he should have been. No excuses for that, period. We know our police employees failed to get him medical attention in a timely manner multiple times. There are still many questions that we don't have the answers to, and some open-ended areas that we need to focus heavily on. We're going to ask for help from citizens and residents on things they may have seen or videos they may be in possession of. We've extended this out several times. We're going to share with you today some more witnesses that we have caught on cameras that we'll like them to. I want to clear up some confusion. We received a preliminary verbal report from the medical examiner. Not the official report. They still are working on that. They still have to complete a toxicology that can take 30 to 45 days. What I'm told is they may be bringing experts in to look at the spine, and I don't know how long that will take. Let me further clear up. When we take our information or our files to the state's attorney's office on Friday, that is not the conclusion of this investigation. That is step one of us gathering information. Step two is taking it to the state's attorney's office for them to look at our interviews. They're going to have questions, and they're going to send us back out to re-interview people. They're going to send us back out to look at more evidence. So that is not the end of this investigation on May 1st. That is just us sitting down providing all the data that we have. We will continue to follow the evidence wherever it goes. I just finished a meeting of ministers in the Western District. We shared with them information that we knew. It was a good meeting. They shared with us what the parishioners in the neighborhoods are thinking in that area. We will reach out more to other ministerial groups within the city. I think now is the time, usually in events like that there's finger pointing and blame. I am clear that Reverend Gwynn of Ministerial Alliance has called for my resignation. That's not going to happen. I'm focused on my job. I'm focused on leading this organization. I have been a reformed commissioner. I've taken an organization that has many challenges and faced it head on. Whether it's from terminating 50 employees over the last 2 years for misconduct within this organization, whether it's from dropping officer-involved shootings 50 to 40% over the previous years, whether it's reducing excessive force complaints dramatically, whether it's reducing lawsuits dramatically, whether changing the entire training regiment of this city, whether rebuilding the field training program of the police department, or whether standing here taking the tough questions during the tough times. We're going to continue to serve this city in a very strong way. The key factor, not from these distractions, the focus has lost his life. And we're going to do everything that we can to bring clarification, and if those are responsible, to justice. That's where the focus should be, not on the finger pointing. I'm going to bring up Deputy Commissioner Davis. I'm going to bring up Deputy Commissioner Paul Meir to tell about some of the crowd controls, and then I'm going to bring up Deputy Commissioner Davis to give you an update on the investigations. Deputy Commissioner Paul Meir.
Thank you, Commissioner. First, I'd like to extend my personal condolences to the Gray family. I want to go over a few key points as we prepare for these demonstrations throughout the weekend. We handle these demonstrations as we do any other special event. Those special events include assistance of mutual aid from other agencies across the state. And we want to make some announcements, as we do on any other special events, that these demonstrations may cause traffic delays. We expect traffic delays throughout the city. We also expect a code of conduct with those that come and visit the city to include during the demonstrations. We respect the right for individuals to demonstrate, and we will protect the constitutional right for people to demonstrate. The expectation of conduct is very clear to our visitors, that they do not disturb those demonstrations, that the police will continue to protect those. We have extensive law enforcement resources to assist. Some will be seen, some will not. The mutual aid law enforcement agencies that are coming in to assist with us, we met with them earlier. Very good conversation. And we want to remind everyone in the Baltimore community, we cannot stress enough the need for peaceful demonstrations as we gather through these tough times. Thank you, Commissioner. Kevin?
Good afternoon, Kevin Davis. I'm the Deputy Commissioner in charge of the Investigations and Intelligence Bureau. This Freddie Gray Task Force is comprehensive. It involves many different facets of our organization. Our force investigation team is leading the way. We have homicide detectives assigned to it. We have district detective units assigned to it. Our training division is deeply involved. Our crime lab is a partner, and our watch center is a partner. This is an ongoing and complex, comprehensive investigation, and this investigative update is obviously far from complete. But we wanted to give you a picture of where we are at this moment in time. We do know that in the morning of April 12th, that 3 bicycle officers, BPD bike officers, 1 lieutenant and 2 police officers, spotted Freddie Gray along the 1600 block of West North Avenue. Freddie Gray and another unidentified person at the moment fled on foot. One of our bicycle officers dismounted his bicycle and gave chase on foot while the two other bicycle officers remained on their bicycles and chased both Freddie Gray and this other unidentified male in a southbound direction. I walked the entire route yesterday. It's a foot chase that's not a short one. It goes through several streets, several housing complexes, and eventually ends up along the 1700 block of Pressbury, and that's where the apprehension of Freddie Gray occurred. And quite frankly, that's exactly where Freddie Gray should have received medical attention, and he did not. After that apprehension was effected, Freddie Gray was placed into a transport wagon. That transport wagon stopped for the first time at Mount and Baker. Freddie Gray was removed from the transport wagon and leg irons were attached. Freddie Gray was placed back into the transport wagon. The transport wagon stops again for a second time at Druid Hill and Dalton to deal with Mr. Gray, and the facts of that interaction are under investigation. The next stop for the transport wagon involved a call for assistance. BPD officers were handling an arrest scenario that required additional police officers to respond. The wagon operator decided to respond to that location at North Avenue in Pennsylvania. At North Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue, a second prisoner was introduced into the transport wagon. The transport wagon then proceeded to the Western District. At the Western District, an ambulance was called for Freddie Gray. He was placed, Mr. Gray was placed in an ambulance, and he was transported to shock trauma, where he died a week later. Our investigative team is dedicating every resource at our disposal to each and every one of these sites. It's complex. It involves minutia of details. It requires our full talents, our full time, and we're going to get this right. But in order to get it right, we've got to fully investigate our interactions with Mr. Gray at each and every stop along the way. We have to identify civilian witnesses who may have been present at each and every stop along the way. We have to identify police officers who may have been present at each and every stop of the way, and we are continually combing through CCTV video footage to identify additional footage that will help us in this investigation. In fact, yesterday, and you're going to receive at least a still photo that we recovered from a CCTV camera yesterday that shows our police officers interacting with Mr. Gray at the scene of the apprehension along the 1700 block of Pressbury. As this investigation continues, like the Commissioner said, it will be presented to the State's Attorney's Office, and we'll continue to work in partnership with our prosecutors as we move forward with this investigation.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner, you talked about the eye chart coming into focus. Is it your sense now that Freddie Gray died as a result of one of these rough rides, or do you believe his injuries were sustained outside of that police book?
I think the potential is for both of those. We don't have that clear pictures. There's a gap for me. The gap between where Mr. Gray ran from the officers and where the video picks up. What we don't have there is witnesses or CCTV information to show what occurred there. So we have to clear that picture. The next focus is on the ride within the vehicle itself. We've seen Mr. Gray enter into the vehicle. He's able to talk. He's able to move. He's able to stand on his left foot. I'm told that he was able to enter the van at that point in time. We see Mr. Gray through video, again, or a camera by another citizen getting out one block around the corner. They're able to put the leg shackles on him. He's able to move. He's able to talk at that given point in time. The van driver stops a third time. We have another officer that comes up to witness Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray is talking there. They pick him up off the floor and place him on the seat at that time. He says he needs a medic, I think is the terminology. The third stop, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so I have another gap between that time and where he gets to the last stop that we have to have information on. We've taken a look at the CCTV cameras. We believe we have the route, we have the van, we have the movement, and the route that is taken. the route that was taken. So we're focusing in. And I'm not going to give you all the information. There's a incident, or not an incident, because I'll get you off on the right path. There's something that we have to look at that we have to have further investigation on.
You're talking about Drew Hill and Dalton to back to 1600 block of North Avenue. That part of the
Each and every leg of this transport is being investigated. So how long it took, the distance, the likely travel route. We're in the process of making sure that we can absolutely nail down the travel route. We're close to that. But beyond the route that was taken, we need to know from A to Z what occurred at each and every stop, who was present at each and every stop, the extent that Mr. Gray asked for medical assistance at each and every stop, and our interaction with Mr. Gray.
I understand that, but you've given certain details for each and every stop up until Drew Hill and Dalton. And you've given fewer details about back at 1600 North Avenue, a time, whether officers interacted with Gray at that location, a time for departure back to Western, why it was Western and not back to San Francisco. Can you fill in any of those gaps?
Those are the same questions that our task force deals with each and every day. And each and every day, like the Commissioner said, we get a clearer and clearer picture of what happened. So the absence of details about those particular stops is because we're not exactly certain yet. We haven't reached a place in our investigation where we're certain enough of the details and the circumstances to share at the moment. The still photo and perhaps the video footage that you'll be receiving later on this afternoon, however, shows some citizens we have not yet spoken to along the 1700 block of Pressbury. So as we release that this afternoon, Captain Kowalczyk will make sure you get a copy. We really need to identify those folks because we're certain that they can help us continue to move forward in this investigation.
Commissioner, is it true that you're really trying to focus in on that third stop? It sounds like what you're saying is...
No, there's multiple gaps that we're focusing on that I want clearer and more definite information, and that's multiple gaps. You know, one of the things, and let me come back to you in one quick second, and I'll answer your question. When we were talking to the ministers right before coming down here, what the minister said is that the community wants information and wants answer. What you see us tap dancing on and balancing here is that if someone harmed Freddie Gray, we're going to have to prosecute them. And so giving too much information out to you on the front here now may jeopardize that prosecution. So we're trying to be as open and transparent as possible, but if somebody harmed him, they have to be held accountable, and we don't want to give away all the information that we have. So I'm trying to answer the questions as best we can without jeopardizing our case. Can I come right back to you? I promised this gentleman I was coming back to him. I'm sorry.
But if I understand correctly, what you're saying is on the first two stops, it appears that he was okay, that he was at least able to communicate, and that he was at least standing on one leg. But is the third stop that you're most drilling down?
No, what I'm sharing with you is what evidence that we have that identifies his state, and that's what I have. The other parts we have to fill in the blanks. That's what we're doing. That's right.
Which of those 6 officers did not give their statement to the
We have 5 of the 6 officers that have given their statement, and the one who invoked their rights has continued to invoke their rights.
Commissioner, are you guys considering doing away with police wagons after this?
I think what the mayor is looking at, we were talking earlier, she's going to make a suggestion about that in the coming days.
Last question. Did they hit him off the ground with the man at Dalton and Drew Hill and put him back on the feet?
So all these details are the subject of our investigation. So when the transport wagon stops at each and every one of these sites and stops along the way, where was Mr. Gray when we opened the door? Was he seated? Was he in a prone position? Was he on his back? Was he on his side? We're finding those answers out as our investigation moves forward. They're all pertinent details, and they're all going to be eventually revealed to us in due time, and they're just crucial to our investigative efforts. At no point did he have a seatbelt on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lawrence, along with still photos to share with everyone. We're in the process of uploading it right now to a format
Adelaide, a couple of things to tell you about. One, at the very beginning of this news conference, the Commissioner Batts repudiated a Wednesday statement that was made by the city's police union that compared some of the protesters in Baltimore of Mr. Gray's death to a lynch mob. He said that is in no way the situation. He said the Baltimore Police Department is reviewing some new video from the area of Mr. Gray's arrest and said he would share that new video with reporters. And the other thing to come out of this news conference, perhaps the most interesting thing to come out of it, was the fact that Mr. Gray himself, at some point after he had been locked in that van in which he was being eventually was supposed to be taken back to police headquarters, said he needed help. The recollection was that he said something to the effect of, "I need a medic." And then the commissioner said there was a delay in finding that medic, and that also, he said, was unacceptable. He said that, first of all, the fact that Gray was not buckled in to the police van when he was arrested was a violation of police policy, and that unacceptable delay in getting Gray medical treatment when he was already in obvious distress also was a violation of police policy. A very forthright and seemingly open news conference there. We brought it to you live. We're coming up on 10 minutes before 5 o'clock. We'll step away for just a bit. When we return, we'll update the weather forecast for you right after this.